that's a head scratcher. Okay, drug dealer loophole. Now what this does is it criticizes the guy at the dispensary that's selling you the medicine, because he's called a bud tender. And so that's just bad, right? I don't see, they say that, oh, this guy don't have to have any experience, he just gets a job, and he's just, it's not a drugstore, he's just selling you drugs. So he's a drug dealer that got to get a job in the legitimate world. Sounds pretty good to me. Otherwise, you're going to put him in jail and pay for him there, because it's illegal. All right, whatever. And then it also criticized the caregiver-patient model, saying that essentially the caregiver is the manufacturer and the patient is the guy that sells the dime bags on the corner. I don't know. All right, then they got this pot legalization loophole. Now this is a classic line that's been used around medical marijuana since the day the words medical marijuana were put together. They always talk about how doctor recommendations is somehow not legal because it's not a prescription, so it's just a slippery slope to legalization, and it's de facto legalization because you could just say, oh, I stubbed my toe and get a weed card or whatever you want to call it. And they also criticize patients on this one, saying that only 3% of patients in existing medical marijuana states have actual debilitating conditions. The rest are 30-something druggies and alcoholics. Well, that's not true. Study after study, poll after poll has concluded that medical marijuana is favored over 90% in California for, you know, what it was prescribed for. That's a pretty good success rate for saying something's medicine. Now, are 90% of the people getting medical marijuana in California people that have debilitating conditions? That's debatable, but the fact is this medicine is good for everything. So, you know, it's doing a lot for people that might just be thinking they're just getting high. But I haven't seen a whole lot of that in the medical marijuana world that I'm in. And then you have the bud tender loophole. Since they can't get off this whole topic of bud tenders, they got a whole subject for it. And now, just like the pot legalization loophole talks about how if you're not doing real prescriptions and doing stuff according to the, you know, the way pharmaceutical companies want you to do these things, and you're just not legitimate or whatever. All right, so they go back to the bud tender and say that since he's not a licensed pharmacist, he don't have, you know, he's bad. He's not. That's no good. And that delegitimizes the idea that it's medicine. So this can't be real medicine if you let some bud tender give you your recommended dose of marijuana that the doctor recommended. And it basically says that, you know, it's just the same thing. It's like you can see right through these things and say, oh well, maybe that's just the pharmaceutical industry mad because we're over here providing medicine to people and we don't have to have all these certifications and licensing and training and 8 years in college, because, and it's not because marijuana is not medicine, it's because marijuana is medicine. It's so good of medicine that you don't have to be an expert in the field of it. It basically just works, you know. And if you want to know what it works on, look it up. You don't have to wait for the studies to come out. They're already out. They've been studying this for decades. If you don't believe it, look into Israel. Israel has been proving marijuana to be medicine since the early 70s, late 60s, depending on what studies and what you want to consider a study that proves it's medicine. In America, we have in Mississippi been studying medical marijuana since the 70s and 60s. Okay, all right, so there's their arguments. Just pure propaganda, no facts, no anecdotal studies of existing medical marijuana states, just anecdotal propaganda. So then they have a statement about who they are. We are a grassroots campaign bringing the truth about Amendment 2 to the voters of Florida. Our coalition includes members of law enforcement, business leaders, constitutional law attorneys, doctors, and other medical professionals, parents, and Floridians from all walks of life. We know that Amendment 2 is simply a guise to legalize pot smoking in Florida, and our goal is to point out the loopholes and explain why this amendment is bad for Florida. Please take a moment to sign up for our email alerts and blah blah blah. Make a donation or join our team. Now it's a total sham. They're not a grassroots campaign whatsoever. You have like 5 high-profile donors that have donated to Drug-Free Florida and raised 1.8 million. They've only spent about 240,000. And if you look at their propaganda, you can see why they haven't spent that much. It's totally like garbage. No chance that this is a grassroots movement. No chance that they are bringing information. And then they talk about their members are law enforcement, business leaders, constitutional law attorneys, doctors, and other medical professionals. That could all be 3 people right there, because some of these people are both of those things. I'll give you an example. Pat Neal, one of the high-level donors to Drug-Free Florida, is a former member of the Florida legislature who runs a successful real estate business. So he's this little right-wing, you know, elitist, owns a huge real estate business, like a lot of real estate. If you can look it up, Pat Neal. Then you have Mel Sembler. He used to be a major fundraiser for Mitt Romney back in the day. You know, your friend Mitt. And then he led a drug treatment center that was forced to shut down due to allegations of child abuse. So this guy's just one of those right-wing, anti-drug for whatever reason. And since he's a major fundraiser for Romney, I'm guessing he's that business leader they were talking about. All right, and then of course you have Carol Jenkins Bennett, the daughter of Publix supermarkets and pharmacies owner George Jenkins. Her trust contributed, I mean, the numbers are different depending on who you look at, but I think she's one of the major contributors to this Drug-Free Florida thing, which is why they're out in front of her stores protesting in Tampa. Her trust also contributed $540,000 in 2014 to defeat the predecessor of this year's amendment to the 2014 amendment to. So there you have that. These people that are putting out this propaganda, same ilk, different faces and names that you'll find anywhere where prohibition of marijuana is still being pushed and funded, and you know, efforts are all out, you know, like it's a war. Oh, this is our like Custer's last stand or something. So, you know, you're gonna find business tycoons, real estate moguls, and you're not gonna find too many doctors on that list. I'd like to find the doctors that they're talking about that are members of their grassroots organization, grassroots campaign, because I don't buy it. You know, their medical marijuana proposal to me looks like it would work. It looks like it would work fine. Like I said, they probably need numbers, or they probably have them. They just didn't put them out in the abbreviated version of that. But I'm telling you, this thing is solid. I don't know what these guys are talking about, and they don't either. They're just going on the same old propaganda. Marijuana's dirty, and the people that run it are not legitimate because they didn't go to medical school for 10 years or pharmaceutical school for 8 years or whatever. So they're just a bunch of dirty hippies and drug dealers, and you know, why do you want to give them legitimacy? You know, what are they doing for you? And it makes it seem like the pot industry is full of a bunch of greedy, dirty drug dealers, and that's the stigma that we're trying to erase. You know, with legitimate medical marijuana things going on, like you see in Michigan. It's not the best program in the world or in the country or anywhere. It's not the worst. It works though. People are getting medicine. It could work better. It could work so that people get more medicine, and more people that need it get the medicine, and the stigma is completely lifted, so people that should have the medicine aren't afraid to do it because of the that they're trying to keep alive, the stigma that's still there. So I know this is a long one, but whenever there's activism going on, I really like to cover the story in depth. Who knows, maybe No On 2 will succeed in their effort to squash this this amendment in Florida. I really hope they don't, because the guy, you know, I should know this by now. Yeah, John Morgan. Now, John Morgan, I'm guessing, is a really rich person, but as I read this amendment, there's nothing in there that benefits him. It's not like he's just doing this like in Ohio so that, oh yeah, if I get this passed, I'll be the guy running all the marijuana, so I'll be a millionaire, or I'll be a billionaire. It's nothing like that either. So even if you're like kind of skeptical, like, okay, that No On 2, their propaganda is just total garbage, but then again, maybe there's some reason why I should be skeptical about this law or this amendment proposal. I vetted it, man. It looks solid. It looks like it'll work. So you go ahead and do this thing, Florida, and I hope all you propaganda spewing right-wing prohibitionists lose in 2016, not just in Florida, but everywhere where you reeled your ugly heads. It's time for you just to go away and accept that medical marijuana isn't going anywhere, and you're definitely not going to take it over with legislative laws that hand it all over to your buddies, because you're going to control it and make it, and form it into something that you want it to be. Medical marijuana is organic for a reason, because it really is medicine. You don't really need to do a whole lot to it to make it medicine, other than to put a lighter on one end of it and inhale on the other.